Hi there, my name's Heather from the World Bank, and I'm going to be showing you today how to cast on. So this is the first step in your knitting process. It's just getting the yarn onto your needles. I'm going to be using straight needles here, and then a wool-based yarn, natural fiber, and we'll get started with that. And I'll be showing you the long tail cast on specifically. Okay, so to begin the long tail cast on, you have to measure out a certain amount of yarn in the tail so you don't run out by the end of your cast on process, and you could be casting on like 100 stitches, so you don't want to get to the end and then realize that you've run out of yarn in the tail. So a good rule of thumb that I've learned for that is to kind of estimate how much yarn you need for 10 stitches, and to do that you start with the end of the yarn right here, and you wrap it around the needle 10 times. So 1, 2, pull out my needle, that's fine at this point. And then this is about how much yarn I need to cast on 10 stitches in the tail. And then, like, say you need to cast on 30 stitches, I could just line it up here and say, okay, this is about 20, and then this is about 30, pull it out, and then we have, you know, about 30 stitches here. Then you need a little extra to weave in the ends, so I'd add a couple extra inches, kind of indiscriminately. And then just to be safe, I'd add a little bit more, and that maybe like another 5 inches. And then this would be my starting point for when I'm casting on, to make sure that I'm covered with my tail. This is the long tail. And I stick my needle in here, wrap it around just so you make like a V shape. And that's your starting point, and you should have enough yarn to cast on 30 stitches now. I'll probably do less than that in this demonstration, but this is your starting point, so just wrapped around the end of the needle. And then I will hold it usually with my pinky and my fourth finger, and then stick in my thumb and pointer facing down, and then I shift them so they're pointing up. And then this is ultimately what it looks like. So another V shape, but you have 2 strands of yarn on either side of the needle. So from this position, I will use the needle, and I'll go from front to back through the first strand of yarn, and then back to front through the 3rd strand, through this hole that you've kind of made here. And then I drop my thumb, and then I kind of tighten everything up. So that's created your first 2 stitches on your needle. So if you drop your yarn here or whatever, you can always get back into your starting position by grabbing the strings here, fingers pointing down, and then back upward again. So you got your V shape, and then I'll go through this again. You go front to back through the 1st string, back to front through the 3rd string, through the gap here, drop your thumb, and tighten up. Now you have 3 stitches. Now I'll do a couple in a row, just so you can see kind of the rhythm of it, and then we'll go slow again. So front to back to front, through this gap, drop the thumb, front to back to front, through the gap, drop the thumb, front to back to front, through the gap, and drop your thumb. Okay, so we've casted on 30 stitches here, and you see we still have a good tail here that we can weave in at the end so your work doesn't unravel. And we can use, you know, this first row of stitches in our next session when we go over garter stitch. Garter stitch is a stitch pattern that is, you know, a pretty basic one to learn first. It's very squishy, used in a lot of baby patterns, and it's, you know, pretty easy to learn, especially when you're knitting flat. It's just straight knitting. It doesn't have any purling. So thanks so much for joining us in this first session, and we'll see you in the next one.